back to another episode of Zone Coverage. I'm Cody Schoeler with my co-host, as always, Ryan Root, ready to talk about some NFL action. Just one game to talk about this weekend, but it's a pretty big one, I guess you could say. We're going to be talking about the Super Bowl. What even is 56, right? I never know the numbers.
56, yep.
I don't pay attention to those.
I was trying to figure out the numbers or the letters, and usually I just go with the letters. I can read the letters, but keeping up with the numbers is more hard for me.
Yeah, so what? That's LXI, right? No, LVI. LVI. I'm not, not.
It's on the third topic. You'll get reminded of it again.
Okay, I will. But we're going to start by talking about some of the matchups or questions or storylines that we have going into this game that we feel like will decide it. Some of the on the field stuff that is going to play out and that will really decide who's going to win this matchup. Do you want to go first, or I'll let you go first?
Yeah, because we can kind of go a ton of different directions with this. Yeah. First, we'll kind of just throw one out there just with me and you both. Obviously, Joe Burrow versus Matt Stafford is a storyline in and of itself. It's the second time, I believe, or maybe it's the third time that the two first overall picks face off against each other in the Super Bowl.
Oh.
I think the last time that happened was Peyton Manning, Cam Newton in Super Bowl 50.
Oh, it's probably happened before with Plunkett or something.
Yeah, I think it's happened either once before or the Cam Newton, Peyton Manning Super Bowl was the first to do it. But needless to say, we have two first overall picks facing off against each other. Matt Stafford from Georgia, of course, Joey Burr from LSU. That's obviously a storyline that everybody wants to revolve around because it's such a big game, and we love both of these teams that are there.
We love when it's two SEC teams represented in a championship game. Everybody loves that.
Yep, everybody loves that. We never get sick of it.
No.
So for the first battle that I have on here that we can first storyline I have on here that we can kind of talk about is who will win the turnover battle, because believe it or not, both the teams that are in the Super Bowl have somewhat of a turnover issue as of late, most notably the Rams 2 days ago or 2 games ago.
One's got a lot more of an issue than the other.
For sure. It's more so on the part of, can Joe Burrow mitigate his turnovers to, he only had the one pick against Kansas City. Matt Stafford should have had a potentially game-sealing interception against the Niners, and he would have had 2 picks. But besides the interceptions, obviously, we can talk about the fumble scenario with the Rams, the bad snap, this or that. Mistakes happen, don't get me wrong, but believe it or not, Joe Burrow was actually first in the league with completion percentage this season at 70%. So if there's anybody who's not going to make a mistake in a completion sense, it's going to be Joe Burrow. But Matt Stafford's been playing, besides the turnovers, has been playing some of his best football in recent months here.
He's only had 1 turnover.
All right, if we're not going to count, muffed catches from receivers, is that what we were kind of doing?
Well, no, it's all fumbles except for his first pick was last game.
I could have sworn he had one against Tampa Bay. No, he didn't have one against Tampa Bay.
It was fumbles. So if you want to count the snap that the center did when he wasn't, I don't know, that I think that goes on the center. But so Matt, that's been one of the reasons why the Rams have been, doing pretty well, is because they are mitigating. Stafford has been mitigating the turnovers. His first pick was one that was not a great throw, not a great idea, but got tipped up a little bit, so it wasn't the worst thing ever. But if you look at these teams, the Rams have 5 turnovers in 3 games in the playoffs. Now 4 of those came against Tampa Bay, and they were all fumbles, so take that as you may. Those are a bit more fluky, and the Bengals have just 2, but the defenses have produced turnovers really well. The Bengals
especially the Rams team.
Well, the Bengals have done 7 in 3 games.
Yeah, but the Rams
2, 3,
have
and
at
2.
least one turnover in the past 10 games or something like that.
Oh yeah, and the Rams have 5 turnovers in their 3 games. So both teams, have absolutely been producing turnovers really well.
So that's going to be something to keep an eye on for the game.
I'm trying to find where the defense is ranked during the regular season. All right, here we go. The Rams were 11th with 25 turnovers, and the Bengals were 17th with 21. So Rams a little bit better during the regular season, but have certainly been turning it on lately. So just wanted to check that out. So pretty close in terms of defense. Those are defensive turnovers.
Right, and there's big playmakers on both of these defenses. Obviously, the Rams have, arguably a little bit more star power than the Bengals. I don't think anybody would really say that the Bengals have more star power, so to speak. But, Sam Hubbard could be a force to be reckoned with in the back there in the pocket and Trey Hendrickson, of course. And I can't forget about the safety. I'm forgetting his name already.
Jesse Bates,
yes. And Eli Wilson. Apple. So, I mean, they're going to have some playmakers out there.
I think he led linebackers in picks this year. Logan Wilson, good guy there. But, yeah, and I mean, obviously turnovers decide games, especially like this most of the time, but especially now when you have offenses that aren't too turnover prone, but defenses that are good at creating turnovers. So, something's got to break. And we've seen, big pick sixes can swing momentum or really shut a team out in these playoffs. And I mean, we've got a lot of candidates for that, obviously. I want to move on to my number one thing, and I mean, it's something that I think people have been talking about for certainly since these games were decided and even before that, but can the Bengals offensive line block Aaron Donald, Von Miller, and Leonard Floyd? That's going to be the huge thing. We saw a Tennessee Titans defense just consistently get to Joe Burrow, and it was the worst game that the Bengals have played in these playoffs, and it was a very close game despite Tennessee not playing great. And the Titans have a great defense, but the Rams, I mean, Aaron Donald's the best player, regardless of position in the NFL, probably most dominant player. He's just insane. Von Miller is a proven, future Hall of Famer, Super Bowl MVP who's done this before. And then Leonard Floyd is the third guy you have to worry about, and he's really good. So I want to see what they can do. I mean, I said during the first round of the playoffs that I think Von Miller can be the X factor for this Rams team if they make a Super Bowl run. And I mean, now's the time. He's come up with big plays. He had a strip sack on Tom Brady when the Rams defense really needed it. I believe he got the initial pressure on the Jimmy G interception that he kind of chucked up there. So he's there in big moments, and we'll see when the big moments presents itself, or if Von Miller just creates a big moment like he did the last time he was in the Super Bowl with a strip sack that led to a touchdown. But yeah, I mean, the Bengals offensive line held up against the Chiefs and Chris Jones pretty well. We thought it might end up being an issue, but I don't know whether they've got some blocking schemes or if they're going to try to, but something. Aaron Donald, I think, and that crew could have a potentially game-wrecking, performance that could really decide this.
Right, and you have to kind of take into account Joe Burrow while he's facing these pressures too, because Joe Burrow is relatively, throughout the regular season, was relatively decent against the pressure. It didn't faze him too much, which is kind of, speaking a ton on his part, considering that he was the most sacked quarterback in football this season. So in the playoffs, however, facing the pressure, not as successful as he was in the regular season. His QBR went down quite considerably. But Aaron Donald, he's been on this stage before. Von Miller has won a game and has been the Super Bowl MVP in Super Bowl 50. So those are two players that are obviously a menace to deal with. But then you got Leonard Floyd as well, who's a very underrated defensive lineman for this Rams defense. So Joe Burrow, he's going to have to make some plays on his feet when it matters most, which we saw that in the Kansas City game. He had kind of somewhat of an Eli Manning moment when he was dodging all those defensive linemen. Didn't get a helmet catch off of it, but he got a very clutch first down. So, Joe Burrow, when the lights are all shining on him and he's got the pressure on him, don't count them out. There are some quarterbacks where you can count out, but you cannot count out a second-year quarterback from LSU.
And no, he made incredible plays against the pass rush. But if they're getting, pass rush from Aaron Donald and Von Miller consistently, then I think as great as Joe Burrow scrambling can do, the offensive line is going to have to give him something. Like he'll absolutely make plays sometimes when there's a rusher on him, but he's not going to be able to do that every time. They're going to need to have to block him. And just want to throw out there, Von Miller, first we could be looking at the first two-time defensive Super Bowl MVP. So it'd
be something to watch, especially just with the amount of adversity he's had to face these past few seasons. But it looks like he's found a right home here in LA, and we could talk about another notable matchup / storyline going into this game that I think everyone is very curious to see how it works out, but we may already kind of know how it works out. That's Ja'Marr Chase versus Jalen Ramsey. Obviously the best rookie receiver this season and probably the best rookie receiver of all time.
Ever, yeah.
Probably a top 5 receiver at this point. I could go on about Ja'Marr Chase, but there's nobody that will put anything against Jalen Ramsey being the best corner in this league, and he's been the best corner in the league for multiple seasons. So if there's anything that Jalen Ramsey does, he's not going to go out and get you, 10, 11, 12 interceptions like a Trayvon Diggs will, but he's going to give you the Richard Sherman treatment back in Legion Boom days. He's going to lock you down. You're not going to throw to his side of the field. And we can only assume, obviously, but we can pretty much guarantee that Jalen Ramsey will be on Ja'Marr Chase pretty much every play in this game. I'd like to imagine.
The Rams don't do like a true, he's not going to follow him all the time. They do switch him around in the formation, but he'll definitely be lined up on him a lot of the time, most of the time, especially I would assume when the game matters. But it's not like a true follow around just because they want to use Jalen Ramsey how they want to use him. They don't necessarily want to dictate it, but he'll line up in the slot. He'll line up on either side, so we'll definitely see that from him. But yeah, you got to think there will be, I don't think Joe Burrow is going to be afraid to throw at Ja'Marr Chase when Jalen Ramsey's there. He shouldn't be. It's still a, tough matchup. And so there's going to be a few plays where those two are matched up with the ball in the air. And, those could be plays that swing the game depending on how they go. Ja'Marr Chase obviously is huge, big play threat. We saw Jalen Ramsey really is one big mistake in the playoffs is, getting allowing that touchdown to Mike Evans in the Bucs game. So the potential is there. But, I think Jalen Ramsey, is an incredible player. And, was he on the team in the first Super Bowl?
I was thinking about that as well. I don't think he was. I think he joined the team the season after.
That's what I think too, but let me just check that. So this could be his first one. 2018. Yeah, he's still on Jacksonville. He got traded during the 2019 season.
Right. Yeah. So he was still over there suffering in Jacksonville.
Yeah. Right? So this is first time. Well, wasn't that the year that they almost made the Super Bowl, right?
No, I think that was the previous year. I don't know. It was the year they made it to the AFC title game, and I think I want to say that was 2016.
So at some point he was doing good on the Daggers, but this is
because the Patriots when they made that Super Bowl against the Rams, that's Frank Clark being offsides in the AFC Championship game.
Yeah, so it must have been the year before, so 2017. Either way, so he's been close. This is his first time getting there, so he's certainly going to be fired up. This is what he wanted when he left Jacksonville, and he's getting that opportunity.
Yeah, so it's not just Ja'Marr Chase out there, at least on the Bengals side, going up against Jalen Ramsey. We have a pretty good number 2 receiver matchup. If you want to talk about that,
this is one of the things I put down there because to me, Ja'Marr Chase and Cooper Kupp are going to get theirs. They are just that good.
Yeah, I'll just let everybody know now. We're not going to talk about Cooper Kupp in this segment because he's going to make plays.
We have seen you don't stop Cooper Kupp. It just doesn't matter at this point. So those guys are going to get theirs, and obviously, one of them having a huge game can really, play huge into the outcome. But for me, it's which number 2 wide receiver steps up, because we've seen that happen all throughout the playoffs. T. Higgins and Odell Beckham are both incredible number 2 wide receivers. T. Higgins, in his second year, went over 1,000. He's really good. Odell Beckham Jr., coming over from the Browns, stepping up when Robert Woods goes down, and now being that guy. They've both been huge throughout the playoffs, and being able to make big plays, and when they need them. I think I don't know if T. Higgins has had like the huge necessarily game in the playoffs yet. Maybe
you could argue the AFC Championship game, because all the pressure was on Chase. T. Higgins was the one who had over 100 yards receiving. He's the one who led the Bengals in receiving.
Okay, yeah. I was like, I think that he's done it in one of these. So yeah, I mean, he's definitely sometimes a little underappreciated in a way. But he certainly has the ability to step up, and if Jalen Ramsey is following Jamar Chase or on Jamar Chase a lot, that means that he's going to he's going to have his chances. So first game didn't do much, and then he had 96 yards and 103 yards the past 2 games. Hasn't caught a receiving touchdown yet, so he's still looking for his first one of those. And then Odell Beckham, when Cooper Kupp has a focus on him, can he step up? He's made huge plays for first downs and touchdowns. And so to me, that's the thing. It's like whichever one of these number 2 wide receivers has a better game, there's a high likelihood that team wins, unless somebody else has steps up huge. Because like I said, these number 1 receivers, they're going to get theirs. You're going to try and stop them. You could slow them down. But if you're going to leave Odell or T. Higgins, open, then that could be very dangerous.
Yeah, and probably the last thing we could talk about on the receivers parts, really, it's the tight end battle. If you want to get specific on it, Uzomah is likely not going to play in the Super Bowl. He's questionable. I think he may play a little bit just because it's the last game of the season for both these teams. So
yeah, I mean, it's weird because he came out and they put like an air cast on his leg. So usually that means
I thought he was bad. Right. You see that, and it's he's out for quite a while, but he's questionable for the game.
He's said publicly that he is not missing what he calls the biggest game of his life. So obviously the decision is not his, but there is some there's some desire, a lot of desire on his part to play for sure.
Because we got Uzomah, and if not him, then you will have Sample filling in his spot at tight end, going up against Tyler Higbee, as well as the backup Rams tight end if Higbee doesn't play. Kendall Blanton.
And I will say, Higbee looks like he has, this is of 2, 4, or a little bit, it looks like he's missing practices, which obviously could be precautionary. We'll see, but it looks like some sort of MCL sprain or whatever. He didn't play the last game. So, yeah, I mean, just question marks as of which tight end is going to play. I mean, I thought Tyler Higbee was a really big, weapon for Matthew Stafford in that Bucs game.
Right, and you got to take into account Blanton having a sneaky kind of game in the NFC Championship game as well. Obviously, none of these tight ends that we're talking about here are your Kyle Pitts, your Rob Gronkowski's, your Travis Kelce, Darren Waller, George Kittle. I mean, if you want to go out on a limb and say Tyler Higbee's a top 10 tight end, I don't think you're really complimenting him at the end of the day.
I mean, but CJ Uzomah might have had a top 10 tight end.
Right. This isn't like last year where you had Travis Kelce, or 2 years ago you had Kelce and Kittle. So, it's not going to be a huge tight end matchup. Tight end University is on hold until next season. But, I mean, all of these tight ends that we've mentioned could come out of nowhere with a big first down, a big red zone finish. We saw a great tight end screen play from Blanton in the Rams game that could come to their advantage. I mean, using a tight end screen out of nowhere, very few tight ends could actually pull that off and actually get some yards with it. So something to possibly keep an eye on if, T. Higgins and Jamar Chase are gassed, and Odell Beckham's not getting any targets, and Cooper Kupp is catching too many balls, maybe. I don't know. It's like if these
and,
tight ends come in at the most random times, you got to keep an eye on all 4 of these tight ends have the potential to just come out of nowhere with a big play.
And I will say, I believe Blanton is the only active tight end for the Rams if Higbee doesn't play. I know they said that in the game that Higbee went down. I don't know if they've signed anybody since then. I'm taking a look here. I thought they had Johnny Munt. Oh, no, they've got – okay, looks Bryson Hopkins, so I guess they've got him. Maybe he wasn't active for the first game. But, yeah, I mean, so Higbee playing is kind of big for them because they're going to be without weapons. Because you think about it, not only is it the receiving game, but, you have 2 tight end sets, whether it's for passing or running. And so being without one of those guys, receivers obviously huge for, the reasons that what they do on the field. But you can slot in another guy. You've got so many receivers, and rarely ever do you have 5 of them out there. But if you've got, 1 tight end down, that might limit what kind of personnel you can use and all these things, especially if you're looking at the Bengals. They might want to put 1 or 2 tight ends in there to, chip on a defensive lineman or whatever. So that's certainly something to watch. And then, I mean, I feel like most years we kind of see some guy kind of pop up out of nowhere and make a huge play in the Super Bowl. And so, I mean, the tight ends, even the starters could have been candidates for that. And so, especially if you're throwing in these backups, so that will be big. I've got my final one is this. I mean, you could rephrase it either way. I've got it as, can the Rams stop Joe Mixon? And that's because they've been doing really good against the rush so far. 61 yards looks like the most they've allowed. That was to the Cardinals, but they've held Tampa Bay and San Francisco to pretty, around 50 rushing yards. And then Joe Mixon is the leading rusher in the playoffs right now. He's got 190 yards in 3 games, under 3.7 in attempts, so not huge. But, if I'm the Bengals, I want to take some pressure off of Joe Burrow, especially early in the game. I want to get him into a rhythm. You don't want to throw him straight into the fire, although he probably can handle it. And Joe Mixon has been one of your best offensive weapons this year. I believe he was 3rd in the league in rushing yards. So he had a really good year. And, the Rams pass defense is going to be under scrutiny for so much of this game, whether it's guarding the receivers or rushing the passer or whatever. But the run defense can be big because, I mean, running the ball in the Super Bowl can be, huge, especially, you got a lead or you want to drain the clock, you're going to need to run the ball. And if the Rams can kind of stop that, then, that'll be huge. And then, I mean, on the other side of the ball, I think the Bengals have been great against the run, facing some really good running backs, and the Rams rushing offense has not been great. So I don't know what's going to happen on that side, but I'm really interested to see what Joe Mixon does, because I think the potential is there for him to have a huge game, and I think the Rams need to not get caught up on Burrow and Chase and all that and let, this guy kind of run all over him.
You got to take into account with the Bengals rushing offense that Joe Mixon is a 1,000-yard rusher this season, which is kind of losing more and more of its value as the seasons go on. But he's a 1,000-yard rusher. He's only kind of a 4 yards per carry sort of back. And this is a team that doesn't run the ball a whole lot. They are very Joe Burrow dependent. So you have a team that doesn't run the ball a lot going up against a defense that's really good at stopping the run. Joe Mixon better hope he gets some catches in the backfield for the majority of this game, because although he has some big, play potential, much like any, top half running backs in this league do, you have a team that's very average at running the ball going up against a team that can stop the run easily. And then on the flip side, we're either going to see Cam Akers or we're going to see Sony Michel out there making plays for the Rams.
Either way, and making plays. Both have not been great.
Right. It's like that could be even a bigger weakness for the Rams' part, that they're not a great rushing team, and the Bengals aren't going to give up an inch to them, really. But Rams don't really care at the end of the day, because they'll just throw it up to Cooper Kupp and they'll gain 50 yards.
Got to do their thing. But But I mean, Joe,
it's not going to be a running back battle really at all. I
don't think it will be. But if Joe Mixon can be that much better than what the Rams have running the ball, then that could give the Bengals a leg up. I mean, like I said, he's got the most rushing yards in the playoffs, so they're not necessarily doing it crazy effectively, but they are running the ball quite a bit. He's got 52 rushing attempts, and then throw in some of the other ones that some of these guys have. So they're going to rely on it a little bit more than the Rams will for sure. Still not going to be a bunch, but Joe Mixon gets a touchdown or two that could be huge.
It could be huge in the second half of the game when one side or the other is trying to grind out that clock. So,
and I mean, especially
I'll just kind of play as the game goes on. Yeah.
If the Rams pass rush is just kicking the Bengals offensive line's ass, which I doubt will happen, but it's possible, then you're gonna have to change some stuff up. And I mean, Joe Mixon could then become huge in the passing game, and whether it's blocking or receiving. So I think he's definitely a player to watch that's flying a bit under the radar. But we can move on now to something that I like to do every year for the Super Bowls. Take a look at some prop bets, rate from the normal, to who's going to score a touchdown, this and that, to the absurd and the what color is this dress going to be. I would advise you. Now we're going to talk about some of the ones in the second category. I would advise you not to put a bunch on that. I would say stick to some of the stuff that maybe you have some evidence for. And on the exact opposite note of that, I know Ryan has a bet that he's very very confident and eager about.
Yes. Do we want to start with the game ones first, or do we want to?
No, I want to start. I want to start with your big one.
So
your favorite one.
Before every great football game,
well,
there's a kickoff, and before the kickoff, there's a coin toss. The coin toss is a 50-50 shot, which I'd like to iterate to everybody. It is the best bet you can make in sports. It gives you the best chances of winning. You could do this with any game, but the Super Bowl, it means the most. You could take a play out of Pat McAfee's playbook from last year, where you put, what was it, like 10 or 50 grand on a coin toss to see if he could double his money in a moment's notice. So the coin toss is the way to kick everything off with a bang, and I'm going with tails. I think tails will be the result of the coin toss. And if you're wanting to put money down on the coin toss, by all means, go right ahead. It's your choice. This isn't betting advice by any means, but hey, tails. You could double your money, put $100 down, get $200 back. Or you could be $100 down and get depressed for the first half of the game. It's completely up to you. But
yeah, you can really start out on a low note.
There's so many different odds with everything else that we could bet on, but the coin toss is where it's at. If you're going to make a bet, at least make it the coin toss and, see where you go from there. But I'm going tails.
Yeah, I will start.
I'm probably not going to make a bet. So
I will start less mundane and work. I'll start, with the mundane and work my way up. I think my favorite bet from looking at a bunch of stuff is Cooper Kupp to score a touchdown and the Rams to win. A little bit of a parlay, a little special there, because I think Cooper Kupp probably scores in this game regardless, but if the Rams win, Cooper Kupp scores, and this is just giving you better odds at that than it would be to just do straight up money line on the Rams. So I think that's a good one there. If you think the Rams are going to win, you might as well boost your odds a little bit by thinking Cooper Kupp's going to score too, which isn't even that crazy, because he's scored a ton of touchdowns this year. So that's my favorite of the ones that I found. I've got another one in here that's kind of funny, and it's the team that will call the first time out. The Rams are the favorite in that one. It's at minus 120. We talked about Sean.
Their timeout management. It's probably I saw this.
I saw this I saw this, and I just remembered talking about what we did last week, and just Sean McVay does not hold his timeouts in high regard at all. So, I mean, I would not be surprised if he calls that one pretty early. So that's an interesting one there. I know you've got one about somebody scoring a touchdown that you like. I have another one I want to put in there.
Right, and his name is not Jamar Chase, because I think this game will play very similarly to the Chiefs game from 2 weeks ago, or 1 week ago. Sorry, I'm already disregarding the Pro Bowl. Which, by the way, I was going to watch the Pro Bowl for a joke
I did.
this weekend, and then I got a notification in the middle of Sunday afternoon that halftime was over. I was like, oh, the game's going on. So this morning I tried to see, okay, did anything happen in the Pro Bowl? I just saw the stats, and I thought it was like a typical Pro Bowl type stat line.
Too much.
I couldn't even watch the highlights. I got 2 minutes in, and I was like, nope, this is already pointless. So back to the real game that we want to talk about.
Too much Pro Bowl talk. Get out of here.
All right, so not Jamar Chase scoring a touchdown, but T. Higgins, which is an underdog to score a touchdown in this game.
Because he has not scored a touchdown in the playoffs.
I'm just saying, you got all the pressure on Jamar, which rightfully so. T. Higgins is very much the number 2 guy. He is a 1,000-yard receiver alongside Jamar from this season. So I think T. Higgins may shock us and score somewhat of a meaningful touchdown in this game. And he's a plus 150 underdog. I would take that.
Yeah. So I've got 2. One that I just remembered that I'm putting in there. Both on. Well, first off, I want to say I like. I'm looking at some first touchdown score. That's one that you can make some decent money on. Those always have some pretty big odds of who's going to score the first one. And I kind of like Joe Mixon on that one. If I'm just looking at the odds, I mean, Kupp and Chase and all these guys have, but I don't know. I could see Joe Mixon getting the first one in there. Running the ball, keep it simple. So I like that. And then a few touchdown scores. One is Kendall Blanton, who you talked about. I have mentioned the Rams' red zone deficiency, and it seems like when it works, they're going. I mean that screen you talked about, that was where they finally scored in the red zone, giving it to Kendall Blanton. So even if Tyler Higbee does play, and if that's announced, maybe these odds will get a little bit more favorable. I think Blanton is a threat to score, and then Matt Stafford scored a touchdown. This for quarterbacks obviously has to be a rushing touchdown, but he's got 2 rushing touchdowns in the playoffs. He's the only Ram that has a rushing touchdown. So another one that I do have on here is that the Rams do not score a rushing touchdown. I know those kind of counteract each other, but I mean, it's been so far, if the Rams score a rushing touchdown, it's Matthew Stafford. So, that's possible, get a little bit of QB sneak or, a little bit of a scramble there.
I feel like you could say that on Burrow's part too. He has potential to get a rushing touchdown as well. He hasn't got one in the playoffs, I don't think.
No, that was my thing. I thought maybe, but I wanted to originally go with Burrow because of the way he's been scrambling, but then I looked and I saw he doesn't have one, but Matthew Stafford does, and I think part of that might be when they get closer to the red zone, the Bengals are a little bit more likely to go with Joe Mixon, and the Rams might be more likely to go with the QB sneak because their running backs haven't been great. So, but I think Joe Burrow is a valid one too, because I think that's more likely to be a scramble than a QB sneak. But I think that's I don't know, QB rushing touchdown in this game. I feel like it's possible.
For sure, it's definitely possible, and a Rams rushing touchdown by any running back, I don't think will happen at all. But
yeah, so I'm surprised you've got plus odds on that, plus 150, just because I know they haven't scored one the whole time, so I don't know. We'll see. I mean, obviously Cam Akers was about a half a yard short before fumbling it, but we'll see.
And then, I mean, stuff for like the entirety of the game, over under 75.5 passing attempts. That could go either way. I feel like under is probably safer considering.
Well,
I don't know. There might be turnovers. There might be this. There might be that. You know.
Well, I looked at this. This is one of my few bets here that is based on numbers. I think I forget one of them. Probably Stafford is averaging about 36 per game in the playoffs. Burrow's at 33. Might be switched, but you put that together, that's 69. That's under 75. And now you're thinking, oh, it'll be the Super Bowl. It'll be closer. It'll be back and forth. All the games have been back and forth like that. So, if anything, we would see a game that, and I guess, you say if one team is down, then the other team will be throwing and all this. But that means the other team's, running the ball. I don't know. We'll see. But I think, just if you're looking at those numbers, 75, I mean, if each guy is in the 30s, low 30s, then we'll see. And especially I think with the way two pretty good defenses, we might get off the field a bit. Like I said, I think the Bengals are going to rely on the run a little bit. But I don't know. Could the Rams just throw it 75 times themselves? Might be a better bet than giving the ball to Cam Akers or Sony Michel. Another one that I really like, I just want to throw this out there, is for there to be a score in the last – well, I've got two of these. Score in the last 2 minutes of the fourth quarter, which I think has happened in damn near every single – it's happened in the last however many games. I mean, both games last week or 2 weeks ago, all 4 games the time before. And then also a lead change in the fourth quarter. We've seen a bunch of tight games, so I would lean towards this being another close one. One that I didn't put on here is exactly a 3-point win. I think I had that for a little bit. You're looking at about plus 300, plus 350. I mean, you want to bet on a Evan McPherson game-winning field goal, or they both won by 3 last week, right? Yeah, both won by 3 last week. We've seen what? So that means 5 of the last 6 were decided by exactly 3 point. Or no, I think I think so. So, it's on there.
So we also have not only the game to bet on, but the musical performances.
I've got one more to throw out first. I remember this one.
Okay.
Burrow 0 touchdown passes is like plus 850. Now that's a huge payout. And I know what you're thinking. Well, Joe Burrow, he
didn't throw touchdowns against the Titans. I know it's possible.
He did not. He didn't throw touchdowns against Tennessee. It's there, and so I this is one where I don't think I'm not predicting that's going to happen, but for the payout, for the possibility, it's there.
I mean, I just want to double check on this stat real quick, just because I love going back to this when it comes to notable Super Bowls on the quarterback's part. I'm going to look and see if Peyton Manning threw a touchdown in Super Bowl 50. I want to say he didn't, but no, he did not throw a touchdown. He threw 1 interception. So
and Joe Burrow is about
Cam Newton didn't throw 1 either. So
Joe Burrow, and Peyton Manning year, very similar. But no, it's possible to not only, it's possible. Those teams are obviously built a little differently, but I mean, with the way Evan McPherson's been playing, you can just kick a field goal every time, and maybe that's your best bet. But I cut you off there, so you can resume what you were going to say.
Yeah, other than the halftime show, which we'll talk about in just a second, you have one for the national anthem, as do I. This is interesting. Go with yours. You've got the traditional. Right. Bet. There is the bet on the duration of the national anthem.
This is usually the first, because they do this before the coin toss. So this is like the first. This is usually the first big one that plays out, because you always hear the over under. I would love to see, the broadcast lean into it and have a little timer, going. They haven't done that yet. I think, that'd be pretty cool to see people, because people will pull their phone out and start, and then there's a debate over, when does it really stop, because you got people holding on to that last note.
Right.
So this is what really, kicks off the fun.
So the over-under for the national anthem duration is 95 seconds, a minute and 35 seconds. Now, I want to tell you that the previous, I've lost count, since Super Bowl 41, this has been going on for 15 years now. I guess a minute and 34 for Super Bowl 46 from Kelly Clarkson.
That was the last time it was
10 Super Bowls. It's been longer than a minute and 35 seconds. Now, that would lead you to say, take the over. However, you have to take into account the person who is singing the national anthem.
Who I have never heard of in my life.
It's Mickey Guyton, yeah.
I've never heard of this person in my life.
She's probably in a band, or she's done something. I don't know. But
I thought you.
But the thing you have to. This is the one thing that sticks out about Mickey Guyton. She has a nickname for doing the national anthem called Quickie Mickey, which means she is known for getting in and out with that national anthem in a minute flat, maybe a couple seconds here or there. So this makes it interesting because you got someone singing the national anthem who is known for just getting it over with as soon as possible.
Yeah, but this is her moment,
That is why I'm taking the over. You just jumped the gun on me. Yeah, that's why I'm taking the over. The stars are aligned. Everyone's looking at her. Hold that note for 20 seconds. Whatever you got to do, Mickey. Take the over on this and keep the streak going.
I thought you were setting yourself for an under there, but
I'm saying that's why it's leading people to say I'm going to take the under because it's Quickie Mickey. She's going to strike again.
Okay.
I feel like I'm saying Icky Vicky from Very Odd Parents every time I say it.
She's never, Quickie Mickey. She's never sang the national anthem about the Super Bowl before. So
right. So this is her time.
Minute and a half is I want to see what, if I just look up the national anthem on a YouTube video, how long is that?
It's got to be a minute at least. Just for the anthem by itself.
This normal one looks like it's a minute, it's a minute and a half, just normal. So add Mickey's a little bit of flair. Yeah, let's go, Mickey.
She's gonna shine.
My bet pertaining to the national anthem, I'm scrolling through. I'm just looking at them. There's some fun ones I see. Will there be a scoring drive that's quicker than the national anthem? I thought that was interesting.
Hey, the Rams could do it. The Chiefs could do it.
The Chiefs did in 13 seconds. So, just end of game, will a team get the ball with less than a minute and score? You never know. Especially, Chase or Cup break a big play. But the one that I liked was which quarterback will be shown first.
Is it which quarterback or is it which player? Because I just see that you have Stafford on here.
Oh, this was a Stafford or Burrow.
Okay.
One.
Yeah,
they also had.
Yeah, I agree with
that. They
that.
also had the coaches, and then they had Chase or Cup, I believe. They just kind of had through those head-to-heads. But I don't know how you don't show Stafford first. I know that Burrow's getting all the rage, and he's actually the favorite in this.
Which is why you show him second, I think.
Yeah, but also, Stafford's a guy who's been in the league for
over 10 years,
decade plus. That's finally succeeding in the Super Bowl. This is going to be a much more emotional time for him than Burrow. I think you got to show me Stafford first. Plus, he's in his own damn stadium. Come on, you got to show me Stafford first. Come on, I'll be keeping an eye out for that. Not gonna bet on the number of planes that fly over and stuff like that. I'll keep it to, like I said, some logical. I don't have a full analysis like you do with the over under, but we'll see how that plays out. Obviously, these will be. That bet will happen even before yours. But we've also got some halftime ones. Obviously, this is a very unique halftime performance with Eminem, Kendrick Lamar, Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, and Mary J. Blige.
Yeah.
If you want to bet on Tupac's hologram popping up, you can do that.
I feel like that's a stretch. You know what I mean? It's like
if it was maybe one of these guys, maybe, but there's already 5. Yeah, I don't need Tupac's Hall of
We
Fame.
have so many different generations that are on
We
this.
all and we always see people hold on, like latch on to one thing. Do you remember when was it Travis Scott did it, or was like
SpongeBob,
and everybody was like, they have to do Sweet Victory, or like, and I think they even like teased it at one point, but like that it's more simple than we like to believe sometimes. So that Tupac showing up, not one of my bets. I've got a few going on there, but I'll let you take it away.
So there's a few things you can look at with this. One that I find that's just funny right off the bat is how many times is Eminem going to swear, and the over under is 1.5. I'm taking the under. I feel like he's professional. He's been doing this for 20 plus years, 25 years, really. I mean, he's out of I think this is his first time on the Super Bowl too.
I would assume so.
So
rappers don't make great, but now here's the thing, because this is on NBC. I've heard like Peacock can air like an uncensored Super Bowl halftime show. I don't know if they will, but they could. They're not subject to FCC guidelines. Now they'll have to bleep it out on the normal one, but well,
that's gonna be interesting for the bet, because is this the bet off of cable or Peacock?
Well, I think it's because even if it's cable, he'll swear, but they'll bleep it or whatever.
Right, so it'll count regardless.
But I mean, yes, Eminem's professional. If he doesn't want to swear, he will not swear. But will he care? Will he care?
Eminem is definitely very reckless nowadays. So
that's the thing.
Music,
because I do agree that if he doesn't want to, he won't. He has that self-control.
Right.
But my thing is like, will he want to? So
and it's under 1.5. So
he's got one.
He's got one to slip out with. But if you're taking over
like a PG-13 movie, he's got one that he can use.
He's like, if he goes at least one, then everybody who took the over, once he okay, so this is the second thing I was going to bring up, is with the Super Bowl halftime show, I feel like these performers can see these bets and just be like, oh, let's see if who do I want to make money for? Like, what's the favorited bet? Okay, let's make them some money. Because one of the bets is if Snoop Dogg's going to wear white shoes. So you're telling me his stylist has something to do with my money? Like,
yeah.
If he wears black shoes, then she better watch out for herself in the parking lot. It's like, I'm just betting out on white shoes. And the other, we also have like first song on there. That's completely up to, well, actually, this could be cheated too, because you could be a worker at SoFi watching them.
That is illegal. That is illegal.
Why is it being able to be bet on? It's the same thing. Like, why can you bet on like WWE events? It's all scripted.
Bet on anything.
So like,
you can bet on anything. You could bet on politics. You could bet on Academy Awards. That's scripted. I mean, you could, as long as you don't know what's going to happen, you can bet.
So the first song I have written down here is "Forgot About Dre," and what's in yours is "Gin and Juice" from Snoop Dogg.
I'm just thinking because I think with the Eminem thing, there's 5 of them. I think there's a thing going as like how many songs at like under 8.5.
Like I think Kendrick Lamar is going to be like the last one. Like
Eminem's not, if he was doing 7 songs, he's probably gonna swear a few times. But if he only gets 2 in, I'm just thinking, right out the gate, which song is gonna, just, right off the bat, get people, hyped up. And I'm just, that Gin and Juice.
Forgot About Dre has a pretty good beginning to it though. So that's kind of why I picked that one too.
That's true. Mine's definitely down there a little bit.
I can't even remember the last good Super Bowl performance is the thing though, because everybody always says oh, this is great, this is amazing. The Weeknd was just a music video that he was filming, and then the Travis Scott Maroon 5, I think it was the previous year. I don't know. If you ask me, the last great one was Katy Perry with the Left Shark, and when she rode on top of a lion. I like Bruno Mars. Bruno Mars was good.
But also I'm thinking,
what's the last great Super Bowl show?
I'm thinking, if I'm these performers or whoever, who do I want going first? I mean, it's got Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg's the like you got to lead with Snoop Dogg. I could also see them coming out the gate with like a nice like upbeat like Kendrick Lamar song, but I don't know. I feel like Snoop Dogg
You
is
got to
going
think
to
about
have
with
the
Snoop,
first
Trey,
song.
and Kendrick is that they're all from the LA area.
Exactly. Like Snoop is. I think people are most excited about Snoop Dogg. Like
I'm
that would be
intrigued that Kendrick Lamar's there. That's the one that sticks out to me. I'm surprised
yeah.
he's doing it.
And I mean, we're really we're selling Mary J. Blige short, but I don't
But
know.
she's a legend too.
I'm just thinking, I'm going for the value, going with the deep cut, and I don't know something about Snoop Dogg just going out there and starting the thing off feels right to me. You've alluded to now. I don't actually like these bets, like I said at the start, on any these halftime ones. I would never put legitimate money down on these, but I do. Snoop Dogg shoes. You can bet on Snoop Dogg's shoes, the color of his shoes, and I don't like white and black aren't the favorite. It's like yellow and blue. For people think he's gonna like come out all like decked out in Ram stuff. I don't know. I'm not feeling it. I think some clean, simple white shoes. Give me that, and also like Eminem head covering. You can bet on if he's got anything on his head.
It's just anything, right? It's not a do-rag or a cap.
No. There's three options. So I'm betting on no. I think no. He's not gonna have a head cover.
Yeah, he's too old. He could have that like Cadet Kelly looking baseball cap.
Like you could bet on whether he's gonna wear a hat or a hood. Those are like the same thing, and then a do-rag. But I'm like Eminem. He's not super known for hats. Like I feel like
I think he's known for that do-rag back in the day.
But like the do-rag. But he's not wearing a do-rag. Like
and the beanie, 8 Mile hoodie.
That's true, but like I mean, it's LA. Like it's you're hoodie.
Like,
I think could happen.
Eminem, he just wears the little military cap.
Yeah, like hoodie, I think could happen, but he could have it on and then it kind of falls off before he gets out there, so it's risky. But I think pretty solid. Like he's just not gonna be wearing a hat or anything. Like what is he? I don't know. When I think of Eminem, I think of just like his head with nothing on it. So that's just I'm not gonna bet on Mary J. Blige wearing fur or not. You can bet on her cleavage, which I feel like that just crosses a lot of lines that maybe should not be. And then some other stuff. So if you really some people just have a feeling about certain things. I know last year it wasn't like a bet, but it was like a Super Bowl kind of like pick 'em thing on Bleacher Report for like the halftime show, and I did correctly pick the Weeknd's opening song. I forget what it was at this point. So I'm on a roll. I was good last year, so maybe I'm feeling it. Maybe this becomes my specialty going forward. But now let's pick some things that actually matter, and the biggest thing that matters: who's going to win this game. I mean, is that
the biggest thing that matters? I don't really know. That's kind of debatable.
I mean, the Pro Bowl already happened,
so
after the Pro Bowl, this is kind of the big one. I mean, I feel like it's pretty obvious where I'm going because I've been going this way since August or September. But I'll let you go first because I'm interested to hear what you think.
Well, I know what you're going to pick,
of course,
and I would love to pick that as well. But I'm done counting out Joe Burrow. Yeah. We counted him out against the Chiefs. Think of it this way. He's a second-year quarterback in the Super Bowl. First overall pick in the Super Bowl in his second year. Year and a half, if you want to call it, with his injury.
He's looking to become the first quarterback, the first player to win the Heisman, the National Championship, and the Super Bowl, I believe. And he's going to do it in he's looking to do it in 3 years. It's never been done in a career.
He's done so well that people are now going to look at Zach Taylor and think he's a great coach. When before Joe Burrow, he had an awful record, and people were already asking for him to be fired based off of his draft choice.
But not having a quarterback can do a lot of things to a lot of things.
You could have a great quarterback and you make a coach look fantastic. Mm-hmm. I mean, Andy Reid, he could coach with Patrick Mahomes, or he could coach with Donovan McNabb.
He could coach with Nick Foles.
Right. There are coaches that can work with multiple different people.
Sure. But if you give
Joe Burrow works great with Zach Taylor.
If you give Andy Reid freaking Brandon Allen or whatever, like I think there's some limitation. I'm not saying Zach Taylor.
They could probably make the playoffs, but I don't know.
But that's team makeup too. The Bengals before, and even heading into this year, I mean, they fixed it with some free agency spending. Just a bad team. Like they just sucked. The offensive line was terrible. The defense wasn't very good. Now they fixed a lot. They've created a good team. So I think, I like to see when coaches have a good team, what they can do. And I'm still not super sold on Zach Taylor, but
so other than Zach Taylor, that's what I was just saying. If we're now considering him as a great coach just because of Joe Burrow's success.
I don't think he's great.
With all the weaknesses that Cincinnati has, offensive line sticks out like a sore thumb, right? Their defense isn't as star-studded as it could be. Their secondary could maybe use a little beefing up. Linebacker, sure, they lead the league in interceptions at linebacker, but they have weaknesses, don't get me wrong. And the Rams have less weaknesses, to be fair. But the Bengals just don't care. You might as well call them the Cincinnati Honey Badgers. They don't care. They don't give a bleep. They're the Cincinnati Honey Badgers, the Cincinnati Bengals. They don't care if they're at a disadvantage. This is what the Arizona Cardinals wanted to be when they were undefeated, where they're like, oh, you're going to keep kind of counting us out, but we're going to win the game. We're going to win the game. Kyler Murray fell apart. Joe Burrow keeps playing fantastic. Everyone was saying during the draft, me and you included, get Penny Sewell, get the guy from Northwestern. I'm already starting to forget the linemen's names that were in that draft.
Rashawn Slater is like
Rashawn Slater was the other one I was trying to think of. Yes,
he's really freaking good.
Get any of those linemen. Protect Joe Burrow. He just tore his ACL. They get Jamar Chase, his teammate from college, who hadn't even played in a year because he sat out the 2021 season. And it just works. It just works with Jamar Chase. It works with T. Higgins. He can still get him 1,000 yards.
What if that's their demise?
It hasn't been. They're in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. But what if
they just beat Kansas City in Arrowhead? We didn't think that was possible if you weren't named Tom Brady. He's done the impossible. I feel like Aaron Rodgers would still have a tough time winning in Arrowhead against Patrick Mahomes in just a regular season game, let alone the playoffs. They've beaten that Chiefs team twice now. They know how to beat good teams. And if we want to go back to the Titans game, yes, they're one bad pass away from possibly throwing that game to the Titans. And it could be the Chiefs that are here right now, but they're not. They're the Bengals. They're here. Everything's aligned for them to be here. I'm done counting them out. It's got to be Joey Burrow.
Yeah. My thing is Cinderella stories. Sometimes, it seems like they get so close, and then they lose. I mean, Butler.
When was the last Cinderella story? Would you say the Super Bowl?
That's not. If you want to count the Niners were. The Niners that year, they didn't end up being, but if you look at the start of the season, they came off a bad year.
The Niners didn't win what Niners year are you talking about?
No, the when they played the Chiefs, at the start of the year, they were, they just had the second pick the year before. So if you want to say from start of season to Super Bowl, you have more than you do going into the playoffs, So there's not really anything similar to this that's happened.
The only thing that comes to mind could maybe be the Saints Super Bowl in 2009, and that's just coming off of Hurricane Katrina.
But then,
or you could talk about
they were still a great, one of the best teams that year. If you're talking when the playoffs or when the start of the year or the playoffs start, you say here are the teams that could win it, and a team not in that group wins it. Judging it from,
was anybody predicting the Seahawks to win it their first Super Bowl 48?
I don't know.
Second year quarterback or second year, third year Russell Wilson to take them to the Super Bowl.
Are you saying at the start of the year or at the start of the playoffs? Where does the Cinderella run start?
We'll say start of the year because that's the Bengals spot. Because if we're saying start of the playoffs, then that means we're talking about Joe Flacco, and I just don't want to talk about him. So
because start of the year, then the Niners getting to the Super Bowl, against the Chiefs is in that same category because they did not have great odds that year either. They were in a similar position. But I don't know. It seems to me that it's time to come to an end. I think that the defensive line of the Rams can play huge in this game, and I think it would be quite interesting if the whole thing, we talked about everybody was, Bengals need offensive line. They didn't go offensive line. They got Jamar Chase, and oh my God, look at how wrong where it worked. I think it'd be, full circle if now that's the issue. Not that Penny Sewell or Rashawn Slater would fix that issue, but at the end of the day, like, I think that offensive line is still a big weakness, and it's hard to pick. Like, sometimes you go with the team with the best strength, but sometimes you go against the team with the biggest weakness. And to me, the Rams' weaknesses are all fixable. It's been, fumbles in one game. It's been red zone, inefficiency. And I think that they can come out and fix the things. I don't think the Bengals are going to fix their offensive line in the 2 weeks since that last game. And so, I'm going to go with the team that I believe is better on paper. It's got the guys who can make the plays. And, I think Stafford is going to outplay Joe Burrow, and they're going to win this game. And I picked them in the preseason. So, come on now. I got to get this up.
Sure. So how did they win the Chiefs game? How'd they win it? Because nobody was expecting it, that they were going to beat the Chiefs in overtime.
I think that the Chiefs fell apart because, what happened at halftime? The Chiefs were dominating them in the first half, and then something happened. I don't think that the Bengals just figured out how to stop the Chiefs in 15 minutes. I do think they made adjustments and improvements, but I think the Chiefs kind of just, screwed it up for themselves. I think that, I think a lot of
one thing, they pressured Patrick Mahomes a lot more than any other team really does. Like the Bills, that could have been the Bills' demise really in that divisional round, is if they could have put pressure on Patrick Mahomes, they probably win that game, but they just couldn't keep the guy contained.
Yeah, they were dropping 8. They were dropping 8, and they weren't letting him do things. But I think part of the reason is that was able to catch them off guard. But the Rams will be prepared for that. I think the Chiefs just they could have run the ball, and they just weren't. I do think that the Rams will, adjust more offensively. I'm reading a book about the Patriots, kind of their dynasty. And a thing that Bill Belichick has done every single Super Bowl he's in is he's used the opposing coaches best quality against them. He did it against Sean McVay in the Super Bowl. He goes, I know this team wants to be aggressive and pass the ball, so we're going to stop that, and we know that they're not going to run the ball because everybody wants to prove something on a big stage, and so I think we've kind of seen that. So I don't know if the Bengals would do that, but you want to talk about coaches? I'm taking Sean McVay over Zach Taylor too. Despite the timeout usage, but there's a huge chance that the Bengals comeback never happens, and then we're not even talking. I think a lot of things, obviously it did happen, but I think that was 50-50, a Chiefs just collapse.
So I'm kind of curious to look up this game. One final thought on this, just to pull up these stats.
Now, before we go, and I've said this before we went on. We got to give Super Bowl MVP picks. So after you make this point, we'll talk about those. And us being on, we're on opposite sides here. So
yeah, it's loading here, but I want to look at this game mainly due to the receivers that we're playing here, because what would you say is probably the last Super Bowl where there was a Cooper Kupp in that game? Meaning, not necessarily Triple Crown, but you watch the guy play and you're like, that's the best receiver in the league. And there's nobody who's going to.
Julio Jones 2018 is probably up there.
Okay. Him or Antonio Brown maybe, or that's debatable, whatever, right?
Well, I'd say if you like this guy's a top 3. Like you could say this guy's the best receiver in the league this year, and people wouldn't call you insane. I think Tyreek Hill's been around there. Like he's definitely been top 5 some of those years. But probably Julio Jones in 2018 is probably the big one, unless.
A game that sticks out to me, it's a while ago, 2007 Patriots, Randy Moss.
Oh, what about
by far the best receiver in the league that year?
2014 Chris Matthews, Seahawks. What about him?
Man was a stud for 60 minutes. That was about it.
Hey, he was good. He got the onside kick the game before. But yeah, yes. Randy Moss 07, yeah, for sure.
Randy Moss 27 receiving touchdowns, right? This is Tom Brady's
23.
23, sorry. I keep thinking of LaDainian Tomlinson's.
Yeah, 23. 27's a rushing.
Right. 20 plus touchdowns, which I can't remember how many Cup had. I think it was like 18 16. Or something like that. 16, yeah. So obviously more receiving touchdowns than Cup. This is pretty much Tom Brady's best season ever. He had the passing record with this year before Peyton Manning. Yeah. They lost to the underdogs, New York Giants, which was anybody thinking the Giants were going to win the Super Bowl at the beginning of the season? Sure, their defense was fantastic that year, and they had an amazing helmet catch work in their favor, and Eli Manning in the Super Bowl. I wouldn't want to face anybody else, or I would not want to face Eli Manning in the Super Bowl. It's like that's something to also consider, is that offenses are definitely the big flashy thing with football, but defense wins championship. And defense wins championships. And don't get me wrong, the Rams definitely have the better defense.
If you're calling the Rams, the Rams.
No, just hear me out. You're not going to like this. You're not going to
call the Rams the 2007 Pats. I'll take that. Undefeated. They're going to finish it off right though.
The Rams definitely have a better defense, and defense wins championships. But you know who doesn't care? Joe Burrow, and that's why they're going to win the game. That's why I'm just not going to count them out. They're going to win the game, and that's how it's going to be. Joe Burrow is just going to shock the world, just like he continues to do so.
It seems like you're bringing up a lot of points for the Rams, and then just saying, "Forget about it."
I said at the beginning, the Bengals don't care; they just win.
But at some point, they're gonna care. This is gonna be the time.
Regardless, though,
you got home field
disclaimer.
advantage.
I'm so excited for the Super Bowl. I don't care who wins. Yeah. I think it's going to be fantastic. There's not a good guy or a bad guy anymore. These are two teams that everybody loves, that everybody wants to see win.
Yeah, I mean, I've been all Rams at the Bengals.
I can't remember a Super Bowl like that in a long time.
I will not be disappointed at all if the Bengals win. I will be disappointed because my preseason pick got so close and did not win, but I won't be. I mean, it'll be one of the greatest NFL stories of the century, you know. It'll be crazy. I will say one more point. This might be the trump card. No team's ever lost a Super Bowl while playing in their home building. So, that's just a fact.
I want to know.
That's 100%. That's 100%, baby. But
who doesn't care? The Bengals. That's why they're going to win.
Sure. I think they will care in a week from now. But, Cincinnati, they've got school off next Monday already.
I love that. Isn't that great?
But let's get MVP picks. I mean, I think I've got to know where yours is going. I don't see a way the Bengals win this game and it doesn't go to Joe Burrow. Like, I think it's just
if the Bengals win, it goes to Burrow. If the Rams win,
it could go other places for the Rams.
Has the MVP ever gone to the losing team?
No.
In the Super Bowl? I don't think so. It's only happened once in the NBA, but
no. If it did, it would have been way back in the day, like the NBA. But it's never happened.
But the Rams, I don't think Cooper Kupp has much of a campaign to be the. When's the last time the receiver was the Super Bowl MVP?
Deion Branch, Julian Edelman.
Deion Branch was. That's right. Yeah.
Julian Edelman
against McVay.
Yeah, because there was one touchdown scored in that freaking game.
Right.
So I will say, like,
it could be Kupp, but I would lean more towards Stafford. Dark horse, though, Aaron Donald.
Yeah. Oh, he's got the 4th best odds. Like, he's got better odds than Jamar Chase. Because I think so much of this is narrative. Like, obviously, if a guy doesn't get a touchdown, they're not going to get it. But I mean, the Bengals, it's been all about Joe Burrow.
McPherson, give it to him.
Evan McPherson. I will say, like, I don't know if a kicker can get it. I don't think it's ever happened. But if there's a year,
3-0, he will.
It's got to be this, like, because if he, I mean, because I'm looking at, you look kind of at the games these teams have won and who would have got it. I mean, if the game plays out like that Titans game, Evan McPherson gets it. Like
is Evan McPherson already one of the greatest kickers ever if he wins Super Bowl MVP in his rookie season?
He's already one of the greatest kickers ever. He could retire this year, and in 5 years,
and there would still be a debate around him. Yeah.
No, he'll get enshrined into the Hall of Fame. But the Rams, I do see another way, because we've seen games where Cooper Kupp has been the best offensive player on the field, not only from watching, but just from stats too. Like, I mean, even this last game, like, it might have even gone to him. Stafford's been great, but Kupp's been so good. I think he's got a chance. And then, I mean, one big play on defense can do it for you. So Von Miller, I would like to see Von Miller get in there, do something.
That'd be crazy if he won it again. That would be cool.
It'd be cool, Odell Beckham Jr., like, if he has a good game, I think,
that'd be a cherry on top for him. That'd be cool.
Like, I mean, last year, Tom Brady versus Patrick Mahomes, whoever won, like, it was going to the quarterback.
Yeah.
Either way, we knew that going in. It had to have been a terrible game that, was decided by one, touchdown or one big player. This game, I think it's wide open, because it's not a guarantee that I think it's closer to a guarantee that Joe Burrow gets it. I think he would have to play bad, and I don't know if he plays bad if they're able to win. Whereas the Rams, I mean, Stafford can play all right, and Donald can have 3 sacks, or Kupp can have 2 touchdowns or whatever. So I would probably I like the Von Miller, kind of deep odds plus 4,000, but if I think Kupp, on the other hand, I think is another good one, as he's got the best non-quarterback odds. But it's wide open. I think. Will it go to a quarterback? Most likely.
I'm going the safe route and going quarterback. I'd love for it to go to Kupp.
Yeah, that'd be
cool. I'll go quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so that will do it for us. We will be with you next week, the day after the Super Bowl, to unpack it, digest it, talk about every that in the season, and have a fun little banquet at the end of the year, like you did when you played soccer as an 8-year-old at the local pizza place. So tune in for that next week at the same time on Monday. Reminder, you can also follow Dash Sports on socials: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. You want to keep up with what we're doing, as well as subscribe to the Dash Sports YouTube channel. Once again, thanks for tuning